got something to say to me, then say it to my face. What it's all about, why you're bailing out. Think you owe me an apology. Just say it to my face. You're sorry. You're so sorry. You're so sorry. You're so sorry. Say it to my face. You're so. And I quit my job for you, even quit some friends for you, 'cause you couldn't stand it, me all independent, so you had to have me for yourself. That was when I trusted you, when I could add up 2 and 2, when you promised we'd be together, you, me, forever. Now there's nothing left to lose. And though I understand it's hard sometimes to make up your mind in these trying times, yeah, I just can't accept you leaving me when I'm overseas with the heart so heavy. Think that I deserve the truth for once, not a guilty tone, 'cause you're not alone, yeah. You said you wanna come home, but I know you don't. So this time I won't hear it on the phone. If you got something to say to me, then say it to my face. What it's all about, why you're bailing out. Think you owe me an apology. Just say it to my face. You're sorry. You're so sorry. You're so sorry. You're so sorry. Say it to my face. You're sorry.
Join our membership program, sign up, find out what's going on, become a patron, and support our work. We're doing these amazing virtual live streams covering events, marches, protests, and actions that mainstream media just isn't covering.
A lot of these very common sense policy interventions aren't given the space they need.
You know, the truth is, before we have the political revolution, we need a media revolution.
We really see this opening in the media space with television transitioning to the internet in particular. Streaming platforms, Netflix, Hulu, etc., are the next frontier.
And we're not mainstream media. You're not getting a 10-second clip and a very watered down, whitewashed version of what's going on.
Having a media company to support these kind of movement efforts is extremely valuable.
People want to talk to us because they know that we're talking to the people.
We need a dedicated, empowered, honorable base of people who are willing to fight for what they believe in.
This needs to be all of us, not just like watching great content, not just sharing great content, but taking the correlated action and making sure that together these movements are more effective across the board.
We are amplifying activist messages, activist movements, activist campaigns, activist call to action. There's no more important work to be done in this country right now, and ACT TV is doing it, and we need you to be a member. Go to act.tv and sign up to be a member today.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
Good morning and welcome to the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show. It is Friday. It is April 29, 2022. Thank you so much for joining us, wherever you're joining us from, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, or Act TV. Our partners at Act TV, where they encourage you to do more than watch. They want you to act. Go to acttv.com/join to become a member. I want to begin like we always do on our show, where you root our show in Black history. It's something as you mature in this political, economic world that is America, it's something when you realize how much of your history has been kept from you, which is why I do believe Republicans are absolutely losing their minds over quote unquote critical race theory, which is nothing more than accurate history. Dr. Carl Mack, who's not with us this week because he is diligently working on Black Heritage Days 5 and 6, has left us with Black history to start and root our show in. So, hey, Google, what happened today in Black history?
On April 29, 1869, Edward Kennedy, Duke Ellington was born in Washington, D.C. He wrote over 1,000 compositions, the largest amount ever, and no other jazz artist recorded more music than the Duke. In 1959, he was honored by the NAACP with its prestigious Spingarn Medal. On his birthday in 1969, President Nixon honored Ellington with a birthday party at the White House and presented him with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Adapted from Black Heritage Day 4 calendar by author, lecturer, and civil rights activist Dr. Carl Mack.
And again, Dr. Carl Mack is working on Black Heritage Days 5 and 6. Go to blackheritagedays.com to get, I think, it has to be one of the most comprehensive looks at Black history between all 6 of his calendars, 2 of them that are coming out shortly. It is a history that we need to know. And as you read it, I don't care what race you are, as you read Black history, particularly African Americans who were born in this country, you will see that we have made a significant contribution every step of the way since the Revolutionary War. I don't want to get Dr. Mack. This is Dr. Mack's beat. He doesn't consider himself to be a historian, but I certainly consider him to be our historian. He will be back after he has had a chance to complete Black Heritage Days 5 and 6. I want to also begin on Fridays. We have Pastor Anthony Galloway. He'll be joining us momentarily, but I want to begin with news out of Florida. Florida is now the least affordable state to live in. This is according to the CBS News. In February, Realtor.com designated Miami as America's least affordable place to live. Average monthly rents in the metro Miami area run around $2,900 and are on par with San Francisco and Los Angeles, and double the level considered affordable for people in the region given local incomes. That last sentence is the most important. When you consider the livelihood of Floridians, you realize that these rents are entirely too high. However, Miami's typical rent takes up a whopping 60% of a household's income. 60%. Florida housing woes have been festering for years, according to CBS News, with the state enjoying robust population growth while also courting new residents and businesses, The point is while the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, is putting all of his emphasis on attacking critical race theory and attacking trans youth and attacking the LGBTQIA community, he needs to be focusing on why the rent is too damn high in Florida. The cost of living is going up everywhere. But Florida, you are not getting your money's worth. I don't know anyone. I grew up in Florida. There's no reason that something should be costing 60% of your income in order to live anywhere in the United States of America. But Ron DeSantis has created the perfect environment in the state of Florida because he wants you to focus more on your bigotry than your economics. And this is the thing. We have a couple of stories that really highlight how easy it is for Americans to be distracted by their bigotry and ignore what politicians are doing to them economically And so in the state of Florida, while the rent is going up for everyone, buying a house is almost unthinkable across this country at this point. But Republicans and conservatives, and some Democrats for that matter, are actively participating in trying to direct your attention to your fear of critical race theory and the LGBTQIA community and whatever isms and bigotry they want that day. Instead, they keep you distracted from focusing on the reality that this system is draining every single one of us of our livelihoods, of our time, our talent, and our treasure. But at least you have your bigotry to keep you comfortable in the state of Florida, according to Ron DeSantis. I also want to move on to a second story here coming out of Amazon. Amazon stocks shares have suddenly dipped. Amazon stocks dive after reportedly nearly a $4 billion loss. CNN is reporting that on April 28th, Amazon reported a net loss of $3.8 billion in the second quarter of 2022. During the same period last year, the company reported an $8.1 billion profit. Keep in mind, this is also a company that pays little or no taxes whatsoever. Analysts the analysts who surveyed it predicted a $4.4 billion profit this year for Amazon, but apparently they were way off. CNN is also reporting that Amazon attributes most of the decrease in the revenue to a $7.6 billion loss sustained from investing in Rivian. CNN also is reporting that Amazon Amazon's shares plunged about 10% after hours trading followed news of the loss. This is also on the tails of Tesla having a significant downturn in their stock prices amid the news of Elon Musk leveraging his wealth in Tesla to purchase Twitter. So we're going to keep our eyes on all of these stories. What would be most interesting is to see if the very vice that these oligarchs are using come back to bite them in the end. It hasn't worked out that way, but we're going to keep our eye on it because particularly the purchase of Twitter, that one has some economic reverberations that if we are paying close attention to, we're going to see that sometimes the arrogance and the overconfidence and the money of these oligarchs are putting them in positions that Elon Musk may regret later. We'll keep our eye on that. I want to go to Terry Crews. And I'm hoping that we'll have absolutely. Let's bring in our first guest to the screen, and we're going to talk about Terry Crews apologizing. Pastor Anthony Galloway is with us. This is probably not the best place to bring you in right away, Pastor, but before we go to Terry Crews, because this clip is amazing. He's apologizing for his tweets about Black Lives Matter, and we'll get to all that in a minute. But good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. And thanks for giving us that rundown earlier this morning. I think it's a very important thing to watch and to be able to start to look at that. There is a connection historically, and I'll bring that up in a little bit later.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Please. I always love the historical connections. Let's go to Terry Crews. I have a clip of Terry Crews addressing his tweets that he sent during the George Floyd protests, which was read as being an attack on Black Lives Matter. Now he is out promoting a book, and he was asked about those tweets, and this is what he had to say.
Terry Crews has apologized to anyone he hurt or offended by his controversial Black Lives Matter tweet. This is back in the summer of 2020.
So Terry faced backlash for sharing several tweets in the midst of the nationwide protests following the murder of George Floyd. One tweet read, "If you are a child of God, you are my brother and sister. I have family of every race, creed, and ideology. We must ensure Black Lives Matter doesn't morph into Black Lives Better."
Yeah, now nearly 2 years later, Terry addressed the controversy while talking to Trevor Noah on The Daily Show. Here's what he had to say.
My thing is, I just wanted peace. And I guess it goes back to my approval.
Yes.
It goes back to my need for approval. It went back to that. Again, it was a mistake. It was a mistake to tweet that out at that time.
And
I'll be honest,
that was the thing.
I really do want to apologize to anybody who was offended by these tweets and was hurt deeply. Because as an example, as an African-American man, a black man here in this country, I did not want to give the perception that we're supposed to gloss this over and forget the death of George Floyd, the murder of George Floyd. Right. And I want to apologize to everyone right now who was ever offended, because it hurt. And even back, I was trying to explain, it just got worse and worse. And this is where the book came in, because the need is for us as a people to actually come together and really, really be what we need to be to this country, because it's our country. This is our country.
Right.
We died and fought, and I'm not giving it away. This is our inheritance.
Pastor Galloway, you know I like to ask leading questions, and I like to sandbag the conversation and set it up real good, especially when I have strong opinions about people like Terry Crews. But I'm going to yield. What are your thoughts about this brother coming out with this statement 2 years later?
I'm completely indifferent to the response, and it's largely because it's just that we require an exact a morphed reality that even says that there needs to be a response to that. I want to focus on, so I always focus on what was said in the beginning, right? And what sets up a condition for what was stated, because we can walk it back, however, and I'm obligated, both in my personal belief and viewpoints and my spiritual requirements, to forgive, move forward, and do that. So whatever was happened, what was said was what was said. Right. But I want to focus in on what was said there. Black Lives Better. Like, if we were having a conversation about the impact of that, then I'm in here all day. This isn't that. This is about what we do with this brother going forward and all that kind of stuff. And hey, love you. Let's keep moving, whatever. But if we want to address what you said, right? I love there's a clip, and I forget the artist's name. He's a hip hop artist. He has a wonderful video out about how to tell somebody that they're racist. And he talks about the fact that he uses a metaphor. I'm not concerned about what you said. I'm concerned about what you did. Right. I'm not going to be talking about how you, and I don't want to sit here and pontificate about why or what your intentions were stealing and picking my wallet. I'm here to get my wallet back. So, so when we talk about if we don't become Black Lives Better, what is that in response to? Right. Those are the questions that I'm wondering. Was that a response to feeling like you should be doing more and weren't, and therefore, as people called you out for not speaking up, you want to you felt like somebody was saying you're not black enough? Is it because we're feeding into this notion that somehow standing up for our identity, our rights, the things that we should have, the things that are not yet addressed on our behalf, after, as he said, acknowledging the fact that we've built this country, we fought and died and bled and have done all the things that should require us to have full rights and privileges in this country, but don't in practice, right? If we're feeding into that as somehow meaning that we're trying to say that Black lives are better, right? Which is not our argument, right? It's not something that folks who are on the ground in the front lines of all of these fights are saying. That comes completely from propaganda from folks who are made uncomfortable by Black excellence because they feel like they're losing something, right? Which, again, in the historical sense, and this ties all the way back to your first two pieces, right? We have a growing wealth inequity, the same growing health inequity that led to Bacon's Rebellion, where poor whites across the country and Black folks and all these folks tried to overthrow a ruling class of oligarchs, really, in the United States, right? We are seeing the same. We saw the same propaganda in the Civil War that created a condition where poor whites in the South resisted slavery or resisted ending slavery, right? Which is hurting and depressing their own outcomes again, right? Because we bring in the culture war space to make you focus on that. This, to me, is reminiscent of that same pattern. It feeds into this assumption that somehow fighting for Black lives is a new form of supremacy, because a white supremacy mindset only understands a threat to it as trying to replace it, because it's the only system we've ever known. So if we get rid of white supremacy, another supremacy must take its place, because that's all I understand. Right. And so then I assume that something like Black Lives Matter, that's just fighting for equity and equality, is akin to the only thing I've ever known, because something has to replace this, because supremacy mindset is rooted. So that's, if we're having a conversation about that in response to his tweet, then I'm in here for the conversation. All the other stuff, hey, do your thing, write your book. All right, cool. I'm gonna go fishing.
You sound like my dad. When he got tired of all the deacons and trustees at the church arguing and fighting, he said, I'm going to go get some ice cream. Y'all have this. And he left and went to go get some ice cream. We can leave this conversation as well, except for the nuance that I love that you put, right? This is why I always enjoy our conversation. There's a tendency, and actually, Dwayne, I want to juxtapose this with a clip from, or rather some notes from the Like It or Not segment. And it's the story where the governor of, I believe, Oklahoma, the governor of Oklahoma is signing a ban on anyone being able to change their gender status on their birth certificates after they've transitioned. And I'll juxtapose. You'll see the connection in a minute. You might already see it, Professor Galloway. There's a trend. There's a tendency, rather, or actually, let me ask this question. What is this tendency in human nature to be able to fall headlong into bigotry or something that some kind of wedge issue that irritates us and it draws us in? Meanwhile, we're ignoring the fact that aligning with these people really in a lot of ways is aligning with white supremacy. And I think this is what Terry Crews, I don't know, whatever his calculus was. I love the way you broke it down. He probably was responding to somebody on his tail, right? But he ended up wading into the national conversation in the same way. He fell into whatever that thing is that is going on in his mind. And now he's trying to undo it to say, because he doesn't want to have that alliance with white supremacy. I mean, he called it out for what it was 2 years later. Why do humans have this predisposition to fall for the okie doke, especially when it's something that is a wedge issue, something that irritates that individual and basically boils down to some bigotry?
Well, this actually is apropos. I'm preaching about this on Sunday, actually. So yet again, you walking right down into my sermons, Ben. But
look at God.
But one of the things that we have conditioned ourselves to be led by is that, right? If you think about what happened if you think about what happened in the founding of Tulsa, let's just use that example, right? You have folks coming together to say, here's a condition that is true for us in the United States. Given all of that, we're going to pool our resource to our collectivist mentality. And we start building out a city. We start building out a community. In fact, I can go to the Rondo neighborhood, which is like many neighborhoods across the country, but here in Minnesota, where given the oppressive condition of the society as a whole, what do? We turn inward. We start building in a community where you can actually work as a doctor with your advanced degree instead of a Pullman porter at the Union Depot. There's a place where I can actually mass wealth. I can actually do that and turn inward and build that collective space. Right. That has been the pattern over the years. We have morphed out of that space and into one that starts to be moved by the wedge issue, because we have gotten so adept at interrupting the collective mindsets that build power, that build solidarity, that build coalition. And so now even down to our political strategy tries to figure out what's going to motivate the voter the most. And I want to flip that, because what we've actually moved into is something that will motivate the easiest. The wedge issues, getting somebody irritated is one of the easiest moves, right? And it's akin to jumping from flash fire to flash fire, as opposed to building that long lasting fire that has the coals and embers to really build something, right? And so these are some of the things that come to mind when we think about this as a motivation. We have actually reverted to what is the easiest way to move folks, rather than the most powerful and most long lasting. Because one of the other things that we'll find in this is that one wedge issue today quickly changes. It changes with the ebb and flow of the zeitgeist. It's not something that lasts long, right? So I know that's kind of a nuanced thing, right? And getting into some of that philosophy, but that is part of what I'm seeing here, and that is what's been problematic. I can get you mad, I can get you irritated, I can motivate you quickly now, particularly quickly during this election season, right? But what's going to motivate you to make something longer term? Those longer term thought processes are what got us HBCUs, what got us some of these cities that were so threatened to the status quo as it was, that it pull the backlash and ire of white citizens to attack these black towns all across the country, and as in Tulsa, firebomb for the first time in history by its own citizens. So that's the thing that I'm pulling apart at the moment.
Man, I was not mistaken when I referred to you as Professor Galloway. I will, because you're a pastor, I will refer to you as pastor, but thank you for that nuance, because I hadn't thought about that. The flash fires versus the long burning embers of organizing and mobilizing collective action, which is by far the way for humanity to survive. We're run by a political cabal that's really good at just making us mad enough to get to the next election. And my question then to you after that would be about this governor in Oklahoma. According to the AP News, Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt signed a bill on Tuesday explicitly prohibiting the use of non-binary gender markers on state birth certificates, a ban experts say is the first of its kind in the nation. The bill followed a flap last year over the Oklahoma State Department of Health's agreement in a civil case allowing a non-binary option. In other words, instead of someone identifying as a girl or a boy, they put a non-binary option. The option itself has now been taken away, signed out of law by the Oklahoma governor. Here's the other thing I want to bring this up. I found out about this article on Baller Alert. And as I was reading through the comments section, I was like, well, damn, black folks, if it's this easy, and this is just my opinion, I don't know your stance on this, but for me, it just seems so many people siding with this subtle and not so subtle form of transphobia and not realizing that they are literally aligning, from my perspective, with white supremacy. I don't know if you see it the same way, but I feel like black folks, we're vulnerable to the same thing.
So one of the things that's problematic here, and I had this conversation with some of my family members who were born at a time when on your birth certificate, the thing that it says for you in a racialized column is Negro.
It says that on my birth certificate from 1980. I have Negro on my birth certificate.
So I'm going to take a breath on that because I'm doing some somatic body work practice and I'm feeling the tension rise in the small of my back and then my chest. So Dr. Resma Menken in his book, Grandma's Hands, go cozy up with that, because what you're describing right now is this, it is part of this whole body process, so not just mentally, but physically. So I just want to point that out there and give that shout out to Brother Resma. But the proxy, this is one of the things that these patterns do, is they have a proxy to them. So I do this fight here, but it also then starts to open the door for other things, right? Do I get to go back and reclassify that birth certificate if I've said that is not how we refer to ourselves? That's not how we mark ourselves. How can I go and fix that going forward, right? So this may be an issue where the public is split on that, even in our own community, right? Because there's a whole lot of folks in Black community spaces who would absolutely
I get it every day,
right?
I get it every day. Yes.
So that is a fight. That is a conversation. That is a thing that we gonna grow through, right? However, when we start to marry that fight into these political things, we get into challenges. I want us to remember that we've got very similar fights like this, especially as it pertains to classification. If you were Arab American prior to 1972, you were considered Black. Then simultaneously to a conversation about the racial identity of Christ in many different places around the world, i.e., here we go, culture war stuff, you get a reclassification to white. And then, of course, as we get into the Gulf challenges and tensions that are rising in the 80s, you see another reclassification racially for Arab Americans, right? So these are some of the proxy fights that start to blend in and bleed in a cultural stance, a cultural wedge issue, not brought by the very folks who are receiving the negative outcomes in our society, that are starting to put things in there, right? And so the question I come back to is, what impact does it have on you for somebody to have the ability to align their birth certificate with who they are? What is the impact on the greater society? Let's have that conversation in that case. And I would warrant you, the reason that we don't go there is because there's not enough fuel for that flash fire.
Man, I know you're a man of God, but damn Damn it, that was a hell of. But let's go to break. Can you stand another 30 minutes? Because, man, you are breaking this down in ways that I am so appreciative of this morning. Pastor Anthony Galloway of St. Mark AME in Duluth. I almost said Georgia, but Duluth, Minnesota. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll be on the clock. More of the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show is coming up. More of this dope brother, man. Thank you so much for this analysis this morning. We'll be back right after this.
Good morning, people. Y'all know who it is. You know the voice. You know the sound. James Bubba Williams, DJ Exclusive, is in the building. Good morning, everybody. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned, man. We got more coming up next on the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show. Good morning, y'all. On the Clock is coming up next. Good morning.
What happened to euphoria?
Shout out everybody in the chat room. Mary C, Iris Jones, Brother Lateef, Roller Dragon, Laura Strada, good morning. Utter Bull Spit, Ben Cycle, what's going on? Six Dragon Daddy, good morning. Brother Tyler, Denise, good morning. KFZ, Snack Panther, what's going on? Tiger, good morning to you. Hey, Miss Sophia, good morning. Kitty Bews, good morning to you. Amber Layla, good morning. Tracy Jones, good morning. Melanie Dennis, good morning to you. Rachel Bannon, good morning. Good morning, Razor. Y'all, patron party tonight. It is going down, the karaoke edition. You don't want to miss it, man. Make sure that y'all have y'all behinds in places tonight, man. 9 p.m. Patron party is going down. Karaoke edition. You do not want to miss this, y'all. Good morning, Mom and Daddy. Love y'all, me. People try to get good morning to you. D2001, good morning. Happy Friday. Alicia was funny. I was about to say your name and you didn't even chat yet. That's funny. Good morning, Alicia.
My God, can't take my eye off you. Can't take my eye off you. Dim God, don't got nothing on you. Don't got nothing on you. My heart is ready for something I have been had in a long time. True love crime. I hope you know that it may hurt for a while.
Shout out Matt in the chat room. Letterhat, what's going on? Good morning to you. Laney Lou, Nicole, good morning.
Sweet, smooth, like cocoa bread, cocoa bread.
Right, Alicia. This song is like, damn, I want to dance.
Cocoa bread, cocoa bread. You're nice, like cocoa. You're nice, like cocoa bread, like cocoa bread. Oh, you're nice, like cocoa. You're nice, like cocoa bread, like cocoa bread. Ooh, driving date, watch a movie. Right by your side on duty. Not too much, not too sweet. Ooh, passion from your truly. Let me know how you feel.
Damn, Miss Petal, good morning. Stephanie, good morning to you.
Get through the storm together. Ooh, girl, make some room. I know you still, you're nice, sweet, smooth, like cocoa bread, cocoa bread. You're nice, sweet, smooth, like cocoa bread, cocoa bread. You're nice, like cocoa, you're nice, like cocoa bread, like cocoa bread. Oh, you're nice, like cocoa, you're nice, like cocoa bread. Take the eye off you. Them girl can take the eye off you. My mind, yeah, in my mind, oh you. My mind can't take my mind off you.
All right, y'all. Y'all know what time it is. It is time for Georgia Ford. He's not here yet, but it's still time because we are officially on the clock. Good morning, everybody.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show. We are on the clock. We have Pastor Anthony Galloway with us and, of course, DJ Exclusive, who's doing his thing. Gentlemen, how are you this morning?
Good morning. Good morning, y'all.
Too blessed to be stressed. What's up, Bubba?
Right, exactly.
Georgia Ford is going to be joining us momentarily. But before we get to her, I want to follow back up with something that we ended with in the last segment. We were talking about the markers on birth certificates. And when I mentioned that, for me, I was born in Alabama, man. I was born in Alabama in 1980. And my birth certificate says Negro on it. And so for a lot of people to, be cheering that this Oklahoma governor is now making it impossible for someone to change their marker, it really speaks to how we have to be careful aligning with whatever tickles our wedge issue, right? And Pastor Galloway, I appreciate you mentioning that this is definitely the issue of the transgender community is an issue is not resolved in the Black community. And with this story from Oklahoma, and like I mentioned, the first place I saw it was on Baller Alert. And as I read through those comments, I'm like, it's just so many people who are easily triggered into these wedge issues that are detrimental to ourselves. And I think that is something, Pastor Galloway, that we have to be mindful of and make sure that we, even those of us who fancy ourselves as enlightened, aren't so easily falling into these traps that are so easily besetting us, is the phrase I was looking for. For me, it's in terms of what consumes and the
main questions I want to put out, because I don't also want to stifle the conversation, because I'm actually one who thinks that having the hard conversations isn't something we should keep running away from. We do that too much and close off the oxygen that may allow us to arrive at something. Again, we've got to have the hard conversation. So please, for anybody listening, don't think that this is an endorsement for shutting a conversation down at all. But what I want us to do is to ask the question: what's the true impact on you? Right? There often isn't, and in an even deeper sense, what is our unwillingness to allow us to change how we look and view at the world? This is one of the challenges that folks have. You get so locked into to one view, one perspective in the space, and we don't leave room open for reimagining how we do things. Well, what would imagine if we reimagine education to something that actually fits our time? What would happen if we reimagine? And let me also put it forward, from a spiritual sense, from a biblical sense, we seem to be absolutely okay with reimagining the Bible in a white European Enlightenment frame, but don't want to seem to be willing to reimagine the Bible for a 21st century a world that has things that weren't even around when the Bible was created, and when the stories in the Bible were encountered in this Afro-Asiatic context. So I want us to be able to be willing to be creative and reimagine, because from a faith perspective, our whole entire faith tradition is built on a reimagining. I'm gonna stop there because I'm getting into my sermon. Hey man, I'm gonna tune in. I know you stream, so I'm gonna hop in the comment section of the stream on Sunday. I want to bring in, obviously, this is On the Clock with Georgia Ford. Georgia Ford is with us, and I want to say good morning to our sister who introduced me to this dynamic brother who's flanking her on the right. Good morning to you, Sister Ford. Good morning. Good morning. How are you both doing? Awesome and great to see you this morning to cover some of these stories. I want to jump in, if you don't mind, with the story that I know you have covered from a level that most people don't. You were one of the two journalists in the courtroom for the Derek Chauvin trial in the aftermath of his murder of George Floyd. We are now knowing that he making an appeal to try to get out of jail earlier. And we do know the appeal process is part and parcel of this, right? So someone making an appeal is a part of the process. But from your coverage there on the ground in Minneapolis, Minnesota, what are your thoughts about this appeal, and how is the community reacting to it?
Well, it's interesting because he's asked either that they throw his case out altogether, overturn his conviction, give him a new trial, or even reduce his sentencing. And his case he's making is that there were intimidating protests that were happening during the duration of his trial that affected the judge, that affected the jurors. And so he's saying that basically he doesn't feel like he got an impartial trial and he wants a new one. But it's interesting, Ben and Anthony, because this is on the backdrop of the Minnesota Department of Human Rights releasing a report saying that they found patterns and practices of racial discrimination within the Minneapolis Police Department. So the thing we've witnessed in the Twin Cities here is always, while one thing is happening, there's also something else happening. And for most people, it's hard to pay attention to all the things that are happening, but most of them are very interconnected. And so it's interesting that he would move forward trying to make a case for himself, while at the same time, the Department of Human Rights has now published the findings that he was a part of a culture and a system that not only was responsible for murdering George Floyd, but was also very responsible for racially discriminating against other people in the city. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing more stories come forward. Off the record, I have had conversations with other people who were victims of Chauvin that weren't ready to share their stories yet. And so I don't think that it's a smart move for Chauvin. Obviously, he's going to do what he can to not have to serve 22 and a half years. He has the right to do so. But I don't think that it would be a smart move on the Hennepin County court system or on Judge Cahill, especially since Judge Cahill was the one who signed the warrant the no-knock warrant that led to the death of Amir Locke. I think that Judge Cahill should keep things the way they are, because if they start unraveling justice, I'm concerned that there may be more unrest.
Pastor Galloway.
Sister Georgia, first, it's so good to see you.
You too.
One of the things that you reported on during the trial, and I want to underscore what it was like, because you can imagine for those who are watching outside, and then to see Sister Georgia Fort daily having to recount and watch along with that. I mean, I want to remind us, and this comes from your reporting, Sister Georgia, that there were jurors who had to look away, and they had to take breaks because of having to relive and rewatch all of these things. And so I thank you for your energy, your grace, your time to do what Black women have done throughout our history, is keep their eyes open and witness the things that other of us got breaks to do. So I just want to call that out. But you in that reporting, you talked about they were making appeals like this throughout. Similar to this, they wanted a new venue. They wanted it just sounds reminiscent of what you brought up in some of your reporting. So that kind of signaled that this kind of appeal would be coming. In the moment here where we see the appeal being played out. Do you get a sense, just because of what's happening around, as you call it, the attention to the fact that Minnesota often presents us with so many things to have to cover, that we get in this state of shock or freeze on the issue? Do you get a sense that this appeal is coming now because they see it as a good time to try to tap into the quote unquote backlash to the big air quotes progress that was made and even being able to sentence in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I don't think it's ever going to be a good time for Chauvin to appeal. I think that every time I heard his attorney Nelson make an appeal for him or ask for the charges to be dropped, it just felt really tone deaf, because this isn't a case where it's like mistaken identity, or like we're working with surveillance where you can barely identify the person, or that maybe it was somebody else's knee on George Floyd's back that ended up causing him. No, like, it's undeniable. There are like 7 different camera angles of Derek Chauvin being responsible for killing George Floyd, and so I don't think it's ever going to be a good time for Chauvin to appeal. I think that the judge would be really foolish to grant him his appeal to reduce his conviction. This was heinous. For 9 minutes and 29 seconds, Derek Chauvin deliberately took the life away from George Floyd. So for me, it feels like a person who is doing anything that they can to change the trajectory of the rest of their life. But, he's been sentenced 22 and a half years is a long time. And granted, the family felt like he should have gotten way more. They felt like he should have gotten the maximum sentence, which a lot of people thought that he would. But 22 and a half years for a former police officer is a long time. And I don't see there being anything, unless maybe if the George Floyd Policing Act passed on a national level, then maybe, it would be a better time for him to appeal. But the passing of that law really has nothing to do with him or the state of Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm just thinking how I do get that he has the right to appeal, and we should expect this. But when you do consider how heinous this was, I honestly could not watch the video for months. I watched the first, couple of seconds of it, and I said, I couldn't. I think I may have gotten to the first minute and a half of it. And because of how heinous it was, I wonder if there is this place where we're getting to where, or rather, could we ever get away from this place where we have been for so long, where the value of Black life is negotiable, right? Where it has to be taken so heinously to get any result. And we see now that there's this threshold where after we saw what happened to George Floyd, it takes a lot more for us to get motivated and energized and moved into action. And so it just feels like this conundrum where as we seek justice, we keep getting these setbacks that seems to be this reoccurring loop. I don't know if you ever get that feeling, Georgia.
Well, and I feel like the other side of that coin is the white privilege that's so audacious. I mean, it's barely even been a year since this man has been sentenced, and he is already trying to renegotiate his conviction. You're guilty. You were found guilty in the court of law. You need to do time. You know, I think appeals are seen very different if you sit in jail for 10 years, you serve some time, you have good behavior, you can show all of these things that you have done, you know, you've tried to reconcile with the family. But in this case, you know, Derek Chauvin he's barely been sentenced for a year and already he's appealing his conviction. To me, it just is not showing that he has really accepted the weight of his actions. You know, right. He's trying to fight his way out. And to me, that's very reminiscent of a person who is used to operating in society with privilege. It is reminiscent of a person who has been able to operate above the law as a person in blue who worked in a department that has now been found guilty of racially discriminating against Black people. And so I think that Derek Chauvin is filing this appeal because he's trying to find his way back to the heart of a system that he knows was designed to work for him. And he's not finding it. And so I think it is an indicator that things have changed, or at least in this instance, the system dealt with him differently. But what concerns me is that following this instant, did the system change, or was this an anomaly? Because when you look at the sentencing for Kim Potter, when you look at the lack of any indictment for the officer who fatally shot Amir Locke, when you look at largely the fact that Winston Smith, his whole case was just swept under the rug, like people barely even know about him. When you look at all of the police killings in Minneapolis following the murder of George Floyd, Dalal Eid is within that as well. Most people don't even know those names, right? So Derek Chauvin, in a sense, I feel like is he's dealing with culture shock because he's not used to the system working this way. He's used to his white privilege getting him an appeal, getting his conviction overturned, getting his sentence brought down. And that's not happening in this case. And I don't see Judge Cahill unraveling justice. I just don't think that it would be a smart move. And I don't think that it's fair. I think it would be a miscarriage of justice based on all of the evidence that the entire world has seen in this case.
Pastor Galloway, if I could shift this particular conversation ever so subtly, because this is a triggering conversation. This is quite frankly, all three of you know very personally, this is a triggering line of work. As our viewers and listeners, and even as we have to relive these stories over and over and over again, how do we maintain? How do we survive as we struggle? Because we have to keep fighting. We don't have a choice of putting down our weapons, but we also have to recognize the trauma that we're facing along the way, just talking about this.
All right, so I'm just going to go there. My sermon title for Sunday is Rebuilding Tulsa in our hearts. And the idea there in the back of it is we are expending a lot of energy outwardly. Right. And as Georgia, you know, our favorite community healer, Dr. Joy Lewis, you know, when we were doing our podcast, we'd always end in that way. May your revolution be healing. Right. That inward self, space. Right. That building of our own institutional space. We have a local historian named Elder Mahmoud El Khati. He's been a professor at Macalester College and is just a brilliant historian himself. Talks about, simultaneously to our fights. What are we doing to build our institutions, both inwardly individually and of course, collectively, right? And so therein lies that balance. There's a fuel in the building of the inward institution that helps us to continue to be at the table present, or to borrow from healers like Dr. Joy Lewis, you can't take care of others if you don't have anything. You can't pour from an empty cup.
That's right. That's right.
And so this is coming to mind because I'm a classmate of Philando Castillo. He was murdered 6 blocks from my house by an officer who was in a training I led a year before that. So it wears on us, but I always go to the space of what attention are we paying to rebuilding and or building, if you're building from scratch, that thing that continues to sustain, right? So we're not pouring from empty cups. And so when you ask that question around that constant wearing down, I mean, Georgia, you saw it happen. I remember being in my car on my way to George Floyd Square at 11:30 at night, watching and prepping for the next day of watching all these things, just because the rage took me there. And then at the same time, I arrived there, and there were 3 other brothers who were there at the square, while there were some folks keeping watch over the square and its space, who were there for almost the exact same reasons, and we ended up just talking. And we went from rage to joy, to rage, to frustration, to rage, to philosophy, like it was in the barbershop. Like all of these things happened at the same time, right? We held church service. We held service in that space. And one of the things I think that we need to keep in mind for us as we watch, and we are here at the precipice of making some long-lasting changes, those deep embers, we have to start thinking attention to building the institution, both within ourselves and collectively around that gives that sustaining space. Outside of many of these major moments throughout our history, what do we see? We see the birthplace of programs, right? If you go back and piss yourself off when you go back and watch the Fred Hampton movie, I had to rewatch it with my nephew the other day for a school assignment. And I remember the first time I watched the Judas and the Black Messiah, I went downstairs to a marble sheet cake from a recent birthday party, cut off all the white parts of the cake, ate the black pigs first because I was tired of it upholding the white supremacy.
Come on, man!
Like, come on, man! It's ridiculous, right? It's just funny because you got to do something with this stuff that rises inside you, and that cake served it for me at that time. So, but as trivial as that is, it was something to do and something to reflect on, right? As you pull apart that, and what are one of the things that Fred Hampton did? What are one of the things that Dr. King did? What are one of the things that all of our organizations throughout? They started to build coalitions of folks, multiracially, multi-socioeconomically, pulling together. Fred Hampton was pulling together poor white supremacy groups against the conditions in Chicago, right? One of the reasons that pissed off J. Edgar Hoover. So, I mean, when we start to do that inward institution building, what happens is you start to build forward the possibility of a new way. A new vision. And that, I think, is the thing that scares folks the most. That's the thing that scared Chauvin the most. If you go back and you watch his sentencing space, look at his face when the verdict comes down. He was shocked, right? It was like, wait, this isn't supposed to happen. This isn't the playbook that I was growing up and socialized in. And the realization over his face that he had been prepped and built and conditioned to something that is not the reality was visible on his face.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I am never going to eat marble cake the same again. But on a lighter note, before we go, I wanted to ask you guys about the tweet. Ben, I'm sure you know exactly what tweet I'm talking about. Elon Musk saying that he's buying Coca-Cola and putting the Coke back in. The first thing I thought about, honestly, when I saw it, I laughed out loud, literally. And then I thought about you because you recently tweeted or posted a screenshot of one of your tweets about him and said that now that he owns Twitter, your tweets about him aren't going to go viral anymore.
Yeah, that's a wrap. I don't even go on Twitter anymore. I took it off my phone because the last thing I need is Elon Musk having my personal data like that. I'm going to keep my account. But I mean, if it is a lighter note. I mean, if he wants to buy Coca-Cola, whatever. I'm in the space now I'm in this space now where I think it's just really clear what we're up against, man. We're dealing with people who have so much money they can come in and buy an entire institution, because Twitter is an institution. It was an institution of as close to free speech as you could probably get in this type of society. So I do feel like, it was tongue in cheek that, I'll probably never get another banger like that. I think I had like 95. I had like 96,000 likes on that tweet about Nikola Tesla, and Nikola Tesla would have hated Elon Musk. And since he's started this purchasing process, that has gone down from 96,000 to 93,000. It's just my own personal conspiracy. He probably doesn't even know that tweet exists, but I know once he gets the purchase of that entire company, he's not only going to know about all those tweets, he'll know about all of our personal data that's on our phone, that all these apps go well beyond the apps when they're on your phone. And I just don't feel comfortable giving Elon Musk that kind of information, Georgia. So I know you've been lighthearted, but you talk about Elon Musk. That's one of those triggering things for me, Pastor Gallo.
Well, I mean, I still haven't forgiven him for tanking the ratings of SNL that time when he showed up. But just the juxtaposition. I'm sorry, Georgia. You have taught me to look at to zoom out and look at the picture and journalistic integrity. So let me follow the teaching of my big sister Georgia. So on one hand, my assets aren't tied into person, so I can't pay more taxes, but I can buy companies. The price tag for the company I want to buy, that I'm going to marshal this for, could almost eradicate world hunger. Certainly. According to several measures. Like this is the society that we're in. I need us to ask the question, who do we want to be when we're having this conversation, when the very wealth it's a very give to Caesar what is Caesar's moment right here for me, because it boggles my mind that we're quabbling and squabbling over this when we have the capacity. Keith Ellison said it when he was in Congress. Like we have the capacity to end the woes of society if we choose to. We just don't choose to. And that is something that is hard for me to sit with. It is extremely hard for me to sit with.
Georgia, have I thanked you lately for introducing me to this dynamic brother over here?
Every time you get a chance, and I'm always reminded how grateful I am to be connected to Anthony. And the thing is, Anthony and I knew each other forever, but didn't cross paths in the media sense until last year. And it's just been it's been amazing. And you're such a dynamic person. And your perspective is one of a kind, is always enlightening to hear your perspectives. And I'm so excited to get an update on what's happening in Duluth, because the crazy thing most people don't know about Anthony is that he is not pastoring at a church in the Twin Cities. It's 2 hours north in a community that's predominantly white, where I actually personally experienced discrimination. And so as soon as he told me that he was going to be accepting this position in Duluth, it was very intersectional for me. And I felt like God was placing him there to move things around and to break up some yoke and do all types of work. And so I haven't really had a chance to ask, how is it going?
Well, I've only been called the N-word once, shoveling snow outside in front of my church on January 6th. So, but no, there again, it's a space that is begging for, like our country is, a new way of thinking. Everybody's being disturbed by the way in the place that we're going. So I'm actually finding that there is interracial, intercultural solidarity that is trying to marshal towards a new way, and it doesn't come in the body. And so that I was tongue in cheek about being called the N-word outside shoveling snow. But when I add to that, there are folks that across the street from the church who have very prejudicial views and very different political views than many of the folks inside the church. But I tell you what, when I'm out there in front of the church now, they're coming to talk to me because they're like, that's not the world that I want to see, and we're building an open lines of dialogue. So I have to see the possibility there, and that is something that we have an opportunity to do. And it's like one of my mentors said. Said they're gonna hate you anyway because you're black, so you might as well be your full self. So we're gonna do it and see what that happens, because that's a more healing space and stable space to be in.
I am blessed to know both Georgia Fort, who is one of the most dynamic independent journalists out there, as well as Pastor Anthony Galloway. I would say, are you guys the Minnesota delegation, the Minneapolis, whatever delegation it is that y'all represent, y'all for sure are two of the most dynamic voices that we have in this country, and we need more of both of you. And I'm looking forward to having y'all both back next week. Georgia, I'll see you Monday. Well, not Monday. I'll see you too. And Pastor Galloway, I'll see you next Friday. And we'll be back with more of the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show. Like it or not, it's coming up after this. We'll be back right after this.
Body turn your nigga to a fan. I made it where I'm at on my own. Had a couple blocks in the road, but I get to the bag on the low.
All right, y'all. Make sure that you stay tuned. Like it or not, it's coming up next. Shout out Pastor Galloway and Georgia Fort. We appreciate y'all, man. Make sure that you stay tuned. Like I said, like it or not, it's coming up next. Good morning, everybody.
Keep your minds on me. On try, baby, I think you should side with me. Stay solid one time if you lie with me. Just promise you never lie to me. Keep the moves on.
Promises manifested. Good morning to you. Mara Sharice. Anna Lou, good morning.
Know it's all love.
Right, Alicia, don't forget y'all, Patreon Party tonight. It is going down, the karaoke edition. You definitely don't want to miss this one. Dwayne is coming through and singing a song for us as well. So you don't want to miss it. Come on, Dwayne. Hollywood, good morning to you. Dwayne is gonna come through and give us some spoken word in the form of a rap song. Yeah, no, let me stop. Hollywood, good morning to you. Silk City Socialist, good morning.
Telling me you need me, but I'm from a city that's high school. I give them this anymore, I go. Cause you a bad money, she don't love money. She break hearts real fast like Carmen. Wanna swim down to the deep end. Wanna know all my secrets, honestly. Can you keep it real? Cause honestly, I can tell that you're real fond of me. Baby, don't be shy, I can see it in your eyes. I've been running around. Too bad, I've been sticking out your mind. I know you like it how I rock it from behind. I know you stand it, how you taking all my time. Left, right, can you take it all night? Too bad, I've been sticking out your mind. I know you like it.
And tonight, y'all, you don't have to know how to sing to do karaoke. That's the whole point. The whole point is to come and just... Okay, the whole point is try to come like actually sing. But I mean, if you can't sing, it's okay. It's okay. It's cool. It's cool. We're not gonna boo you. We're just gonna laugh hysterically at you and just talk about you on Monday, Tuesday, and next week, okay? But no pressure. I'm gonna sing like 5,000 songs, so it's all right. I'll probably take up all the time. I'm not gonna lie to you. Ezra, good morning to you.
You gon' let me on your mind forever. Never, thanks, baby. Turn it down like a sweet and ready. Go slow, keep it nice and steady.
Laura, we can try to duet, but I don't think the duet is gonna work. See, Dwayne is a man of just so much mystery. Japan? When the hell did that happen? Yes, indeed, Mara. Dwayne Mara says it was Vietnam for her. That's a different kind of drunk. Yes, indeed, Mara. I've always wanted to go to Vietnam too, just to visit. Vietnam and Thailand.
Don't got no heart, I got an icebox. Brand new rolling, swipe out the G shot. Moving slowly, I know the street hype. No more double, go ahead and detox. Yeah. Came from the trenches, they ain't showing us no love.
Like, let's talk about it.
We on the block like
why is Avatar? I've lost all interest. I have no interest to see the movie anymore. It's been so much time in between the original Avatar to this new movie, and then you're talking about doing like 5 or 6 more movies. Man, not if it's gonna take 13, 20 damn years for y'all to release it. I don't want to see it no more. I'm okay.
Baby, from the struggle, long time had a hustle. Glad we made it through. I'm just glad
Web Surfer right. I don't want to see it no more. I'm good. The Way of Water. What the hell? Y'all just came up 1,000 years, and that's what y'all came up with? Okay.
Pull up in that rain, see me ballin', yeah. 30 feet on my wrist like I'm Harden. Either they love me or I'm a target. Cause I told me you flawless. I've been busy and picking
So Dwayne, basically you will love Bow Wow in Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Basically.
Got you, I mean that. All this pressure make it hard not to relapse. Double pressure make it hard for me to relax. To the hood, baby, ain't no way that I'ma lead it. My dogs need hoes, step it up, I gotta be that. Cause life's so crazy, oh, it ain't though. I'ma love you way before I gotta miss you. Hold this mama for my socket for some tissue. We were just a hood, baby, with some issues. Baby, from the struggle, long time had a hustle. Glad we made it through. I'm just glad we made it through. Baby, from the struggle, long time had a hustle. I'm glad we made it through. I'm just glad we made it through. Just so good, baby, yeah. Just so good, baby, yeah. Just so good, baby, yeah. Just so good, baby. From the struggle, long time had a hustle. Glad we made it through. I'm just glad we made it through. Baby, from the struggle, long time had a hustle.
Bubba, where do butterflies sleep? On caterpillars. God damn it, promises manifested. Al Booker, good morning. Melanie Dennis, exactly. It took them 10 years to make the first one. Now it's been 1,500 years since the second one coming out. I don't want to see it no more. I don't want to see it. You talk about you want to keep developing for the technology. Man, my God, man, the technology is going to change every year. Technology's damn near changing every goddamn month now. Laverne, good morning to you. Barb, Kinsey, good morning. Shout out to VA. Fatal flaw, my hair dragon, my hair flower, my hair flower. Are you talking about my cloud head? Like I had my little pretty little white flip up, dude? Shay, good morning. And don't worry, Shay, it's going to be re-released in the movie theaters. And you can just pull it up on anywhere. Disney Plus. It's streaming on Disney Plus. Brandy Edie, good morning. God dang it, Brandy. Thank you for reminding me. I got you, Brandy. Kelton, good morning to you. Barbara, good morning. Oh, Fatal Flaw, I don't know where it's at. Bryce, good morning. Don't y'all forget tonight, y'all. Karaoke party is going down. And I know Dwayne may have a graphic to put up for it. Karaoke is going down tonight. You don't want to miss it. 9 p.m. until we all start singing. And I don't feel like singing no more. Shade Dragon, good morning. Nicole. Nichelle, I said Nicole. Nichelle, good morning. B, good morning. morning to you. Happy Friday. Jessica Morrow, good morning.
There ain't no doubt. She's got a million problems on her plate, and you know she's gonna chew them and spit them out. She's so above it, yeah, she walks on it.
Shout out, B.
And yeah, she does it with such self-worth. Yeah. Don't matter what is standing in her way, cause you know she's getting through it.
Great God, good morning.
Don't despair. She's got what you want. She's got what you need. You know she's got everything. So boy, don't you cry. Leave all your worries behind. Just come to mama. Come on. Just come to mama. She'll take care of all.
Susan Brown, good morning to you. Shout out to East Oakland, California in the building. Welcome, Susan.
She's gonna make it alright.
Tracy Jones, good morning.
She doesn't always feel like she's a queen, but you better not forget it. So bend the knee, and if you wanna be a knight, you better prove your loyalty. You better listen to me. She's got what you want. She's got what you need. You know she's got everything. So boy, don't you cry. Leave all your worries behind. Just come to mama. Come on. Just come to mama.
Come on, B. Excuse me, didn't choke me up. B said she may or may not have prepared a karaoke version of this song. All right, B, you better come on through and let's get it.
Yeah, I know she's stressed, but I gotta say that makes me even more impressed.
Mama Bina, good morning to you.
And on top of it all, she keeps on loving me. Her eyes, her lips are my desire. She sways her hips and I'm on fire. Yeah.
Laura, thank you for your super chat. Bubba B wrote a song and sang a song about my mama for her 81st birthday. Can he send it to you and you play it for the family? We'll see, Laura. Send it to me and we can see what we can do.
Baby boy, just come to mama. Come to your mama. Just come to mama. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Just come to mama. She'll take care of all your drama. Baby boy, just come to mama. She's gonna make it alright.
Like it or not, it's going down. Like it or not, you're still
Peter Griffin. What's going on, Peter?
You know she
Dwayne, you know I ain't got no damn sense.
Good story for you. Oh, Benjamin, that's mine.
Lily, good morning. Elizabeth Alonzo, good morning to you. Shout out my Twitch family, y'all. Good morning, my Twitch family.
Bro, I am your DJ.
Christopher Shaw, good morning.
Y'all know who I am.
Karaoke version of Like It or Not is going down. Going down tonight. Y'all don't miss
like it or not.
You know what? I may just do that. See who can sing the song the best.
Like it or not.
But no words, because I'm feel like typing all that out.
Oh, like it or not. It's
right, Dwayne. They should know this damn song by now.
Like it or not. It's about to go down.
Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
Edit.
I don't know what we bopping to. I'm just bopping. What we bopping to, James?
I think of Rhythm Nation every time Dwayne counts down in the background. 4, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We are part of a That's going down tonight.
Good morning, y'all. Sorry, first of all.
Good morning and welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to start the karaoke party early.
And not care who doesn't like singing or not. Just bring your ass all out of key. It's all right. BLB, it's okay. We cool.
Tonight, I promise you, listen, I'm going to sing tonight and I'm going to rap. At the karaoke party, I'm going to sing and rap. That's all the more reason for you all to come out and see me embarrass myself thoroughly tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. If you're a patron of the Benjamin Dixon Show, if you're a patron of Like It or Not, patreon.com/like it or not.
So, my fault, Ben. Bubba, I think you might be about to say the same thing. Don't it look like you got a flower on your head in that picture?
I'm about to what now? A flower on James' head?
Yeah.
James, is it okay with you?
I saw that and I was like, I bet you Bubba laughing at the same thing I am.
Here I am trying to do a promotion. And we just doing what we do on a normal day. Shout out to the flower on top of James's head. I don't know, James, you gonna wear a flower today? You actually have
it. David probably did that on purpose.
It looks good on you, though. It looks good. It's a good color, you know. Even though it's supposed to be blue. It's not supposed to be purple. It's supposed to be blue, but it still looks great. Purple's a good look on you, man. So tonight, the Benjamin Dixon Morning Show, Like It or Not, on the clock, we are having a karaoke party where we want you to come out and sing, pick your favorite song. We like to fellowship with our supporters because there's got to be more to all of this than just politics, man. There's got to be more than just getting pissed off. I love what Pastor Galloway said last time. May your revolution be healing. Well, what's a revolution without dancing? I heard that from, what's the movie? V from Vendetta. So come out tonight, patreon.com/like it or not, or patreon.com/Benjamin, what is it? The BPD show. I don't even know my own Patreon anymore. Goddamn. And if you're a member of ActTV, ActTV/join, you come out, sing too. I would love, the more the merrier. We want to hear professional singers, but I want to hear bad singing. James, I don't go to karaoke to hear superstars. I go to karaoke to hear people have fun. So that's what we want tonight, right?
Now, granted, I'm not being, I do go to karaoke to hear superstars. I do sometimes, but I do like to hear the people that can't sing. It's good to hear those people like, oh, okay, you can sing. Cool, sing that again. And then it's always good to hear the people that can't, because after that, you're drunk and everything. So yeah, it's the same.
I tell you what, if we get enough people in there tonight, I'm going to sing Luther Vandross. Never too much. I'm going all in. I don't care how crazy I look. I did stand-up comedy and I didn't get booed, but I got a pat on the back. So I don't mind embarrassment for the sake of a good show. So tonight at 9 p.m., you come, enough people in there, James, I will do some Luther Vandross on them. Never too much. Here we go.
Luther Vandross, that's not bad enough for you, Ben. I think it's Michael Jackson that you need to see. Michael Jackson or Prince. Luther is too soothing. It's got to be Mike or Prince, because people always sound their worst when they sing Michael Jackson or Prince.
Just so you know, we do plan on having complete, and every patron party, I just want to be sure people don't realize what they're missing. We have so many patrons, and I know Friday nights are like people are going out and getting back to the club. We started the patron parties during the pandemic, but it was so much fun. We never stopped them, and we're going to keep it going. Do not miss tonight, because James, what are you singing?
Huh?
What are you going to sing?
Oh, what am I not going to sing should be the question. Okay,
there it is. And if we do it right, if we time it just right, we might be blessed enough to have Rebecca Azor to come in and sing from the car. I know she's going to be out doing her thing.
I'm here right now.
Yeah, she's going to be at a rehearsal, so she's going to be in the singing mood already.
Lord, is that her, Lord?
Is this my mic is not working?
Is this she? Yeah, you talking to your computer.
Oh, speaking of,
while she fixes
this camera, pull up the advertisement one more time. Everyone who's coming tonight, we want to make sure you do two things. One thing in particular, wear some headphones. Bring some headphones so you can sing microphone and you could get the beat, because we need you to get into it. And as much as possible, we need you to be on beat. So put the headphones in your ears and come to the karaoke party tonight at 9 p.m. Patreon.com/the BPD show, Patreon.com/like it or not, or ActTV/join. Rebecca Azor
I'm not sure if we're linked to the ACT members yet, but I know Twitch subs get them.
Twitch, get in there. Absolutely. If you're a Twitch member, you will be at the party tonight. All right, folks, it is Queen Azor is on the screen. And how you doing, sis?
Good. So we're not going to do the intro?
We did it.
Background. Background, not on Friday. But good morning, everybody. How are you guys doing? I thought to myself, I was like, Self, you were up early today. I was working early today. We have, it's our end of the month, so you got to go to work earlier. So I said, since you up early today, make sure that you, put out whatever you're going to wear, whatever the case may be, right? And so, of course, there's a ponytail to be attached. So that has to be done. There's edges to be laid. So that has to be done. And then I thought to myself, if I just come there exactly at like 9, it's not going to give the...
It would have given everything it needed to give. Come on, that lie. We ain't gonna let you sit in here.
It's not gonna give the same energy that I would have when I'm tired. But anyways, good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? It is Friday. There is so much to talk about. What did you guys end up talking about for the 5 minutes that I wasn't here?
For the 20 minutes that you weren't here, we jammed. DJ Exclusive did what he did on the 1s and 2s, and then we talked a little bit about the patron party tonight. And that's it. And then we have a whole lot. I mean, we got Viola Davis. We wanted to talk about her yesterday, but we had a good conversation going on. So there's clips. What, James? Don't do that to me while I'm trying to pivot. Don't do it while I'm trying to pivot. So we got a whole lot of stuff.
Upset about my Viola Davis.
It was so bad. I'm trying to get it
1,000 times.
You see me trying to help my white producer out. I'm trying to make sure we get that story in here today, because if we don't get it in here today, I may not have any white people working for me, Rebecca.
I'm looking at David's picture in the Zoom right now. Where did you take that? Was that from like the early 2000s? That looks like a party. Looks like a party. Yeah, it's giving. Well,
the audience can't see his picture, so it's not really fair, but he looks like a young man.
I mean, he looks like that now. It looks like he has like a little buzz cut. It's giving neo-Nazi. I'm just kidding. I am just kidding.
Oh my God, Rebecca!
Baby.
Rebecca! I'm kidding, David. That is never the thing. But
I look like a Q-tip. No facial hair. I was shaving my head already. No, that was New Year's Eve, like 2000 and I don't know, 12 or 13, I think.
Yeah, see, that's what it's giving me. It's giving me.
Now we got to show that picture. I don't know how we're going to pull that off.
And you're suited and
right, because I don't know what the hell y'all looking at.
Yeah, so when you get an opportunity, go ahead and do this. But I wanted to talk about, before we get to Viola Davis, I know that we have...
we're not going to talk about Viola.
No, we're going to talk about that.
It's not in the title.
Okay,
go ahead, Rebecca. What you want to talk about, Rebecca?
About you.
Rebecca.
Before we get to Viola Davis, I wanted to actually bring up...
I'm sorry. We'll behave. Go aad.
We're sorry. We good.
Let me know. Look, how the teachers used to do. Let me know when I have the floor.
Floor is yours, Rebecca.
Thank you. I wanted to talk about Laura Ingraham before we get too caught up into this Friday show, because I know how we can really take it and have a party. But before we have a party, I wanted to talk about Laura Ingraham. I don't know if you guys seen yesterday that she took to Twitter to discuss Joe Biden's plans. Well, because that man switched up that plan about 50 times, but his plans to eradicate our loans, and so our loan debts. And so when I seen what Miss Ma'am said on the Twitter, and I'm going to quote it, she said, "My mom worked as a waitress until she was 73 to help pay for our college, even helped with loan repayment. Loan forgiveness is just another insult to those who play by the rules." So understanding... Yeah, this is what she said. She said this on what's that man's name? Elon Musk's Twitter. So
literally,
he said this on his Twitter. But everyone has their opinion on this conversation, and for those of you, and this is no slight to anybody who has taken the time out to pay for their student loans and to do the right thing, and do everything by the book, get the job that you needed that you may had to slave for or had to go off and join things like the military or things like that, or do teaching, the teaching abroad to get your, where they paid you nothing, but they were able to clear off your student loan.
They clear them out all the time.
And a lot of people took on these jobs just so they didn't have to carry the burden of the student loan debt. And here is, I know Joe Biden last week was toting around the idea of removing it, eradicating it completely, right? And to fast forward to yesterday, and I'm going to get back to Laura Ingraham, but fast forward to yesterday, he was saying, I don't know. I didn't say all of it. I said maybe about 50%. I mean, I don't think I'm going to remove all of it. And I think that is because we're seeing more people, conservatives and people from the right and people who have paid and put their blood, sweat, and tears into paying student loan debt. I think that is why he's hearing their complaints, but there are so many of us out there, so many more people who, there are so many more people. Pause. Ben has a problem with me saying that.
Oh, I told you not to say anything about it on camera.
I wasn't going to say anything, but since y'all brought it up.
I texted you.
Don't like that. Ben's like, girl, ain't no B in that word. It's one for me.
Debt, girl.
It is that. It's
trying to be.
It's even debt in Creole too, like debt.
But I literally said in my text message, don't say anything on the air about me texting you.
But I needed to because it's hilarious. And every time I said it, I was like, this not right. But anywho, debt.
That's why I love you, Rebecca.
I think that I know everybody like, girl, ain't no B in that word. That's all right because it's a B in the word.
The damn English language.
I think that honestly, a lot of people who have problems with it, it's not like I said to slight them, understandably so. I think 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, you had to do it that way. We didn't have, a lot of people didn't have the knowledge of the education system. A lot of us became, quote unquote, woke in the last, decade, understanding. When I got out of school, I really thought I was going to, I made my plan to pay these things back, to pay off my student loan debt. And so when I realized that after I got out of school, the route that I took, the jobs that I had to utilize the money to survive. I had to utilize the money to eat. I had to utilize the money to pay rent. Those are the things I could not put anything to the side to pay for my student loans. And so I was constantly pushing them back. And so I remember getting a phone call and they said they were going to garnish my wages. I asked them what wages. I was like, what wages?
So you got a phone call and they asked you? They just sent my shit to the employer and said, hey, they said they about to take your money in a week.
They was courteous to you.
They were courteous. They did not give me no phone call.
They asked because they started reaching out to my parents, my mother. And so my mom, she doesn't speak English that well. And they do prey on people like that as well. So she got afraid. And so I was speaking with her and I was trying to calm her down. But I'm scared too because I didn't know anything at the time. So they scheduled with me $5 repayment plan, a $5 repayment plan monthly. And I said, dang, like this is the only $5 I got. Mind you, my first month there, my dad paid my tuition, or my first year at in college, my dad paid for my tuition. He saved up money to pay for my tuition. Tuition was going up, right? And I was going to the number one HBCU in the nation, Florida A&M University, and I was a Florida resident. And for me, I had to go as far as I can go without going out of state so that I can pay in-state tuition. We got, you know how you have to plan around that? You got to plan your life around like how much is my life going to be if I decide to go to school and get a better education? Anyway, I say all that to say, my mama didn't have it. Her income did not. My dad just had enough to save up to get me there and get me through the first year. And so going back to Laura Ingraham, She said, my mom worked as a waitress until she was 73 to help pay for our college, even helped with loan repayment. Loan forgiveness is just another insult to those who play by the rule. First of all, Laura Ingraham, as we know from Fox News, historically, I mean, she's an older woman. I think she was born in 1963 because I did the math and stuff. So she's about in her 50s, late 50s. And her mother is a 70s and late 70s. I don't know if she's still alive or not, but in the 90s. Laura Ingraham went to law school.
In the 90s.
Graduated law school. She was an attorney. She worked in the Reagan administration, I believe. Afterwards,
she's actually educated?
Huh? She's actually educated.
She actually got an education.
Yes. She worked in the Reagan administration. After that, she also had other career moves as an attorney in law. She had a relationship with the judges. And she started working alongside people in politics. A lot of her careers in the 90s showed me that she had the means. She had the means to start paying her own stuff. See, for me, as for me in my house, I said to myself, I said, I can't make that complaint even now. I would never, if I had the means, and even if I didn't, when I didn't have the means, put that on my mother to pay that until she is no longer alive, for me to have an education utilizing a degree that I may not even use in my lifetime. Thank God I am using mine. But for a lot of people, that is not their story. They're not doing that. So one on her, she's putting out there that her mama worked as a waitress. We know waitresses don't get paid no money unless her mama was doing something strange for a piece of change. Now, we know they're not making no money.
And pause real quick, Rebecca. And David, I'm sure you can find out about this, but they're saying in the chat, I thought her father died, and that's how she was able to pay for college from his insurance.
See, but here's my thing. Even if she is lying, not lying, we know Lauren Ingram's history. We know her on Fox News. My thing is, why would you put your mother? I think that's the best example. None of us want our mothers, our parents, any of our guardians to live, to die, to pay for our education. Knowing that the education system, and we're privy. Now, like I said, we are woke to the fact that financially, the education system is pretty much just like it's prejudiced. We know that there is a great disparity when it comes to people of color and education and how much we have to pay. Us trying to get finances through grants, through scholarships, is like jumping into a black hole at times. This is not. We understand that the education system wasn't built for us to actually thrive when we come out. As we can see, a lot of us millennials who came out of school were told we should go to school and then we're going to come out and get a job. Coming out, not having any experience just yet. Actually having experience, because Florida A&M definitely made sure that you had experience through your college career. So if you were working at the local news station, you were working at the local radio station, you were actually going out and doing actual news. But coming out of school, they're going to ask you, so do you have 10 years experience, 5 years experience? If not, we're gonna lowball you. I remember receiving a contract that told me they were going to pay me $24,000.
They actually wrote a contract for that?
$24,000 to be a on-the-field reporter.
Full-time job.
On-the-field reporter is you are all of it, right? I had a bruise on my shoulder from carrying cameras so much. And you're going to go out there, shoot your stuff, shoot your stand-up, come back to the studio, cut your stuff up on whatever system that they're using today, but cut your stuff up, put it together, and make sure that package is in time for the 6 o'clock or whatever time that you're working for the news. And they're offering you that. It is a lot. I wouldn't be able to pay for anything. I went back home to live with my mom for that brief moment, and I said I wouldn't be able to help y'all with the light bill here. I wouldn't be able to do anything. I just couldn't. So again, kudos to your mother for going and you're her baby. She's gonna do that for you. But shame on you for allowing your mother to do the American thing, go the American way, allegedly, and work as a waitress to help repay your student loans. When you were making all that money. College, you were now able able to pay that as a lawyer, as your career as a lawyer. A lot of people don't get that, actually. They don't have parents who are able to pay, and they do not get a job or a career that allows them to have any form of income to think about repaying student loans. There's so much that goes into it. Shout out to everybody that did the right thing and are going the right way. But for a lot of us who went to schools that there are people who went to schools community colleges that are paying the same as people who are going to universities. It's like it's not okay. There's so much debt. There's too much debt for people who don't have that income. The income to debt ratio the income to debt ratio when it comes to education and your career or however you're getting your income is way beyond. There's the math isn't mathing there. So to look at a 21-year-old and tell her or him, here's your diploma, but you are now $100,000 in debt.
Yeah, and real quick, just Heart says my son is 17, just got accepted to 7 different colleges, and I have no idea how I'm going to pay for it, or if he can even go because we can't even pay the rent, and my husband works for the city full time. So just then, while hit one of us up. Let's see what we can do, because nobody should miss out on that opportunity to go to school if they don't want to. It should be their choice, and this should not be something that's stopping them from going. So reach out to us and let's see what we can find out. Scholarships, whatever we can do. Let's see if we can make that happen, because I don't want anybody to miss out on their education. Especially if he got accepted to 7 different schools.
Wild.
Let's not miss out on this man's education. We're not going to do that. I'm not going to let that happen. That's right. I'm definitely not going to let that happen.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
And I mean, that's what this story is a lot of folks' story. I'm not saying that school is the best for you or school is not the best for you. I'm glad that we're living in a time where that is optional. You're not looked down on because you didn't go to school and get an education. Right. But I am saying especially for Black people, education is so beautiful. This is something that they didn't want us to have. So we had to create our own, especially us all up here today. We went to historical Black universities. Now yours is university, but we went to historical Black universities. Shout out to BCC, now turned BCU, and of course Florida A&M University. Shout out to all the HBCUs. But the fact that we had to go, the history of those schools and how they came about, because we couldn't go and get education. They didn't want us to read. So historically, there's a lot that goes into this. And for us to be here now to say that we went to those schools, it's great. But the burden that we got to carry because we decided to go get an education, it's like they still want that historically to be attached to us. And who I would love to pay. Well, I wouldn't. I'm glad that I got an education, but I don't think that it was worth my life. Money that I would never see in my lifetime. Well, I forgot, I rebuke that. Hopefully at some point I'll see that money in my lifetime, but money that I haven't seen since this lifetime, up to this lifetime.
It is a matter of statistical and economic fact that the more a government spends on education, the more that government makes. In other words, every single one of us that went to college did the United States of America a favor that they should pay for, full stop. Germany, you go to college for free. And if you are a foreigner, you go to college for damn near free. You mean to tell me America can't do better than Germany? That's number one. Number two, all these people, you were just talking about one of our listeners whose husband works for the city and they can barely afford rent. Here's the gag, and I just want everybody to just put this in your mind when you think about how this system works. Number one, employers are designed to pay you as little as they possibly can. Their entire motivation in their process is not your fulfillment. It is you fulfilling their duties for as cheap as they possibly can. So every single employer has an incentive to pay you as little as they possibly can. Meanwhile, every single landlord has an incentive to charge you as much as they can. This is just a fact. There's no politics around it. It just is what it is. So you tell me, how are average people in this country supposed to survive when our employers are literally trying to pay us as little as they can, and politicians are helping them, making sure minimum wage doesn't go over $7.25 an hour, and your landlord is raising rent by $300, $400, $500 every year? That's where we are in this country.
How does the math ain't mathing? Thank you. It's not giving what it's supposed.
It's not
I don't
giving.
care. You can't fight me, Laura Ingraham. You're not in my space. You're not in my place. You had the benefit. Do you understand it's a privilege to have a mother that can have a job as a waitress, child, and it sustains your college tuition? Do you know that's a privilege?
In the first place.
What was she
In the first
working
place.
at? Because they ain't paying that at the Waffles in the House. They not paying that. They not paying that at the Pan of Cakes. They not paying that at the House of Pan. They not doing that. So let me tell you, in the same thing, you graduated from law school and you were able to dive right into a career with the president.
Facts.
So you can't say that, okay, oh my God, this is a slap in the face to me. No, you had a privilege. There are other people who have privilege, but the percentage of people who are privileged enough to have those kind of walks in life juxtaposed to people who don't, who are looking for an education, who are risking it all to try to at least get a career right after school to be able to pay that off. And then at the same time, maintain a job so that they can eat and sleep and have a house over their head, take care of their kids. It's a lot. The question today I see a lot is, these millennials are pretty lazy. They're not buying houses. Get me off of one screen right now. Get me off of the phone. Get me off the phone.
Why? It's a good, you're preaching.
But
Right.
I see a lot of the conversation, because then I want to look at myself, but I see a lot of the conversation being that millennials aren't doing enough. They're not trying to start a family. They're not purchasing homes.
They're not buying diamonds. Did you see that article? Millennials are killing the diamond market.
What? Because I'm going to tell my husband right now, if with my income, hopefully, he got many, but with my income, I can sustain myself, and that's even barely, right? And I'm making okay money. If this was 2010, this would be good money, right? But this money ain't nothing. This money isn't anything with me just trying to sustain my car, my home, looking at houses. Looking at houses, I probably would have been able to purchase about 10 years ago with my income now. Today,
nothing.
I'm looking around. I actually looked around this area and this space. I told you guys, I can't even afford to look in the direction of a house. I can't even do that. I can't do that because it's going to hurt me.
That used to be the dream, though. That ain't the dream no more. It used to be the
dream. We can't afford a house on $7.25. We can barely afford a house on $20. And I'm pretty sure people are getting paid $20 because the tenure of them at the job, and they were able to get that through raises, finally be at that number. We can't get that even on $20 an hour, y'all. Everything has gone up but the wages. Everything. They fought against $15 an hour.
Can't even get that. But that menu, that value menu at McDonald's, I think they got a $15 item now. I mean, everything's going up. I'm exaggerating, but fast food, you ain't gonna come. Listen, by yourself, you ain't coming out of a fast food joint for less than $10 now. It's just not gonna happen.
I don't know, Ben. Where you going? I honestly think that's the only places that haven't gone up. I eat at McDonald's every day because it's down the street.
You know why?
They're the only places that haven't gone up.
You must not be. See, I've been paying attention to them prices since 2015, man. Them burgers done gone up.
The food ain't real. The food is not real at McDonald's.
We ain't talking about that. It's not real.
This is me
the
giving you
chicken is still $1.
They put. You know why it's $1?
Because it
ain't real chicken, girl.
Exactly.
That's that cat dog.
Wait.
Possum.
It is rat dog. Okay, y'all know what y'all eating over there. Eating that.
It's shredded up chicken intestines.
Oh man. Oh.
And then that's why you go.
Sorry,
they go to Taco Bell. They go to Taco Bell. Taco Bell has been working day and night to give y'all commercials about the mysterious ingredients in their food. And
nacho fries good, Rebecca. Them nacho fries too goddamn good.
Bro,
Rebecca.
I can't even do Taco Bell no more, man.
Taco Bell, you can't tell me that 10 minutes later, what's happening to your body is something that
you in the emergency room,
it's
man.
not diabolical.
Diabolical.
It is diabolical. My ex used that word, and I've been using that word ever since. And you can't tell me it's not diabolical.
Child, what?
The stuff they put in Taco Bell, Rebecca Zora has said is diabolical. I absolutely will never stop saying that about Taco Bell. bail anybody.
I mean,
It's terrible.
it is.
But
My
anyways,
God.
we say all that to say we out here getting stomach aches and diarrhea because we can't afford real food.
Real food.
Can't
Meanwhile,
go sit down nowhere to eat.
Meanwhile, here's the other thing.
Taco Bell.
Y'all, here's the other thing. They got us working so many jobs, right? Everybody on the
Okay.
screen is either
Yeah.
currently working 2 or 3 jobs or has worked 2 or 3 jobs.
Yeah.
They have us so busy to 40, 50, 60 hours a week, right? Ain't making enough money, so we cannot cook our own food. We don't have time. Who has time to go home and prepare food for their families now, right? So we do go into these junk food, but we do and do everything that you're saying is absolutely accurate. The problem is that this isn't a broken system. This is how the system is created. This is what it was designed to do. And many of us are like, we're in it. And one of our listeners said, it's hard to see the picture when you're in the frame. Right. We are all literally trapped inside of a system that is precisely attuned to extract everything it can from us, to crush us into a pulp. And if y'all think I'm exaggerating the comment section, tell me how easy your day to day is, because it's not. Nobody on this, except for the rich and the wealthy, and maybe some upper class, some folks got it easy. But the majority of Americans, y'all, we are working ourselves to death. And it's being expedited because we don't have time to take care of ourselves. We don't have time to cook our own food. And we go to these places that package up this non-food. You're right, Rebecca. Every one of these places are packaging up the absolute worst crap that we could prepare for ourselves as a community if we weren't out there slaving for wages of like $7 an hour.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that is the food is so damn expensive in the grocery store now. That's not that I don't want to cook, is that I can't afford to buy the food in the grocery store.
Yeah, you can't even afford to eat healthy in these days. Now, I will sacrifice. I'm an Aldi girl.
Rebecca she ain't gonna go to no.
Yeah, baby, I'm an Aldi girl. I gotta make sure I get my chicken that's not plump with all kinds of hormones and stuff. If I were me, I'd be over there with the chickens. I'd be stealing chickens. If I get closer to a farm, I'm jumping over the fence getting me a chicken. I'm Haitian.
That's that Haitian.
That's that Haitian. No. And listen, if there was a mango tree next door, because when I went back home on my mother's house, in the yard and stuff, we got mangoes, we got coconuts, we got what else we got?
Down in South,
we got lemon balm. We got gardens and stuff. Like the front yard has 3 mango trees and a coconut tree. The backyard has a sugarcane field, like a little area for our sugarcane. So we always used to go in the backyard. The neighbor had oranges. The other neighbor across the street had star fruit. So when we would plan to just walk the block, we would just go eat stuff off. Now we can't do that because they're spraying up the stuff. I remember the school lands, because there's a school behind us. They reached out to my father. They told my father, "Hey, there's some kind of some substance on your trees." My dad said, "Do not touch my trees. You will not touch my trees." And then he's like, "They're telling me to sign a paper. I'm not going to sign no goddamn paper. I'm not signing nothing. They're trying to take away their trees. This is my trees on my property."
We got to get Papa Azor on the show one day. We got to.
That would be, because now it's like, I wonder if some of the rebellionism comes from Rebecca. That Rebecca then rubbed off on her dad.
It is.
Which way did it go?
Really?
Which way did it go?
Straight through my father. Like, he don't play. He doesn't play. He don't. But he also has like a little bit of Haitian hotep in him. He think everybody is against him. He uses his phone. He like, "Don't put me on the face. Don't put
What
me
is a
on
Haitian
Facebook.
hotep? I never.
Take my picture off Facebook because
Why would she say that? Because now I want to see it.
Yeah, no, for real. Because on Facebook, he thinks if his picture is on Facebook, right?
The feds gonna get him.
Not the feds. The people in Haiti gonna try to track him down. Stuff like that. It gets real. But anyways,
I might need to know Papa Azor for real.
We say all of this to say that it is a hard knock life for everybody. For my dad being, he's been here since he was 17, so he has more of an understanding of America. But in his mind, he had to come here, walk the straight line, do everything perfect. He spit us out, right? And then he's like, "You guys are going to go to school." Even in our education up since we were kids, like little baby kids, when we got to school, he was like, "You don't speak Creole in school. They're going to think you don't speak English." As soon as we got to school, we spoke Creole. They sent us back home and then put us in ESOL class when we got back there. Then, he had to, think about what colleges we were going to go to, talk to us about in-state tuition, and then we all made our decisions. And when I told my dad where I wanted to go, he was so excited, drove me over to the school, and then, was like, okay, this is a little out of range for me, even though they're saying that I make too much, so you can't even get financial aid in this first year because I make too much. And I'm like, dang, but the math isn't mathing. My dad was saying the math wasn't mathing back then. He's paying for a house. He's paying for 3 cars. He's paying for, making sure he got 4 kids, all of this stuff, making sure everybody was good. And, he made sure I was good. He made sure I had my first computer. He made sure I had I had my furniture in my little dorm room. He made sure that I had my clothes set. He made sure that I went there with great hygienic stuff. He made sure the boots that we had to wear for showers. He made sure everything was set for me. And then he went to the registrar office and paid my first semester, and then sent me a check for the second one. But he paid my first semester. And he was like, because I cherish your education and I really want you to get, to really go to school and finish. I really want you to do that, so I'm going to pay this for you, but you got to promise me. Because he worked hard for that money. He knew when I got accepted very early on, and he saved up every check from work to make sure that when I got there, it would be no issues and it would be paid. So he looked at me and said,
shout out to Papa Azor.
Yeah, basically he was saying, hey, little girl, I done worked my behind off for you to go to school. You better not play with me. You better not go there and act a fool and come back and say, oh my God, I miss my parents. No, you're going to stay right here and you're going to get this education. You're going to finish here. And I was like, okay. So a lot of us had some tough situations, and for some people, that's a privilege to have a parent who was able to pay off their first semester. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. That's not everybody's story. So
it wasn't my story.
We can't be,
Yeah, because it's for us. So especially if they got an older sister, the older brother, me, then the younger sister, parents couldn't afford it. Mom and daddy did the best they could with what they had, and they already working hard as hell. So student loan me to death. Either that or scholarships. All of us had scholarships. That was the best way.
Scholarships. You had to fight for scholarships.
Yeah, I did. Yep, I did. Full tuition.
6.
Nah, it wasn't a full scholarship because I was just like I messed up a little bit, but it was just like, hey, I'm going to Florida. Hey,
I got a couple. I got a couple deductions there. Too, James. You talking about the band scholarships? Yeah, I had a full scholarship until I got caught partying out too late and I lost a couple $1,000s on that scholarship. But also,
they
just thinking about
know how to move around, Rebecca, because Bubba never got caught. Mr. Wells came to my hotel room because we was too loud drinking and everything. He's like, Bubba, get your ass back to y'all room, go to sleep. I'm like, oh shit.
I'm sorry for everybody who does not know. I'm sorry for everybody who does not know Donovan Wells, but that sounded exactly like that, man. My God. We used to call him Satan and Lemonade. That was our band director. He was a tyrant. He reminds me of Vladimir Putin. Anyway,
it sounds like the ghetto over there. I might
girl, no better than let's talk. See, we
talk about them cockroaches
talk about y'all school. They over there beating people ass at y'all school, but we ain't gonna talk about that.
Story. You don't have to tell me. You don't have to tell me. I covered that story. I covered it. I was the only one to cover that story. CNN obtained that story from me.
Okay, girl, you better go. Okay. He said that like we weren't gonna applaud you. We're gonna applaud you when you do good, black woman.
I covered that story. Anywho, to speak on the legacy. Look, the legacy. That's how you know I'm old, because I brushed my shoulder off. That's how you know it's getting dusty around here. I brushed the dust. I brushed the dust.
Right, the damn baby.
People wondering. Because I want to make sure we have such inside conversations. What was the name of our brother? Because I remember that story. Robert Champion. For people who wanted to know the story that you covered, Rebecca, because I didn't know
definitely
you
was
covered
Robert Champion.
But I remembered it when you showed it to me later. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was the one that was chosen by the family to cover it. They didn't want anybody outside of Florida A&M actually to cover it. They wanted to keep it in-house. The same university that took away your child, or I can't say the university did, but the band went through a lot. Look, that's my university. I can't speak on my university that way, but I did understand that it brought light to the story of hazing. A lot of people get a little touchy when we speak about hazing because your favorite your favorite's favorite Greek organization has
probably beat the shit out of somebody.
Yeah, has possibly been, in that. And so, they had banned organizations, and allegedly, because of the treatment that was happening within the ban, Robert Champion succumbed to the hazing,
injuries,
allegedly, that happened. So
that was a horrible. I was at the Classic that night, and then the next day to find out that happened, that was really bad.
Yeah. So, but that was a tough story to follow. That was a tough thing to cover. That was tough. So
yeah, and there were a lot of other stories about that about hazing that were never put out there, but I'm glad that one was shared because there were so many ties with people with that story that I'm glad that it was shared and I'm glad it was covered. So shout out to you, Rebecca.
Yeah, it actually it started to uncover like a lot of different things, but not only did it do that, it also showed how, because that story took, oh my goodness, that story took on a life of its own. If we've ever seen Florida A&M University in the news, other than for being great, we saw that about hazing. It did start the conversation all over the place about hazing, and they remained on it for a really, really long time. Not to say that that story was not important. It actually was very important. But across the street, across the train tracks, many people were losing their lives to hazing. And across the train tracks was a school that I co-opted at called Florida State University. And there were so many people who were dying from hazing. And there was never mainstream news coverage as it relates to that. Hazing is bad, whether it's black, whether it's white, whether it's a Greek organization, whether it's a band organization, whatever it's for. Hazing should not happen. I saw somebody getting hazed for a healthcare organization, child. Healthcare. Healthcare administration organization. Why are you hazing somebody?
Healthcare,
child.
What they was doing, getting hazed to draw people blood?
Phlebotomy getting hazed? You try to be a phlebotomist and you getting hazed?
But no, I say this, I laugh about these organizations, but this is what's happening. Hazing isn't right. I don't think that for anything you should be being beat. And this is my opinion. A lot of people don't think that. They think that they're earning their stripes. They think that this is something that is making them stronger. I think it's a weird way to think, but at the end of the day,
and I go ahead, finish, and I have to interject because it's a difference where it comes in at. And this is just because I'm in an organization. I've been hazed before. Not ashamed to admit it, a few times. But I think it goes back to tradition. The tradition goes back so far. That's what it comes down to. But then once you start getting up through the years, people start realizing that, hey, you don't have to do all of that to get the results that you're trying to get, basically. Because that's what hazing is. Because you're trying to do something to somebody to be it mental or physical, to make them get to a point to where they're remembering something, doing information, or going through the burning sands. What they call it.
Crossing the burning sands.
But what it is basically is just you realize that it's not needed. And especially when it becomes an issue where you're putting someone's life in jeopardy. That's when you get to that point where, okay, now you're going too far. Like, I understand the exercises, maybe some mental stuff where you're learning some stuff, because teachers do that all the time. That actually is. Trust me. That could be when it covered laws. Now, when it came down to a hazing, they put exercise, and when you're making an organization or somebody do exercise, they consider that hazing now. If the whole band is not doing it, if you have one section that's doing it, or you have another person that's doing it, now they consider that hazing as well too.
Wow.
So now the definition has. Oh, you have. Everybody has. If now the definition of it now, everybody has been hazed.
I've been hazed, and
Ben hazed us.
It's funny. It's funny. Yes, he did. It's funny. No, look, let me not, because somebody might take that clip and put it out there, and then they believe that we don't went through some kind of hazing. But no, but Bubba, honestly, I'm happy that you broke that definition down, because I would have never known that. The definition has changed or has been clarified in that way, because. I was a dancer, not a stripper. gotta clarify that, but you know what I'm saying? But I used to be a dancer.
They be hazing at the strip clubs too. While you talking, go ahead.
And look, they making money out there though these days. They coming from the ceilings. They hanging off the light fixtures. But anywho, I've been, but I've seen a lot of things happen. But in my organization, shout out to Orchesis Contemporary Dance Theater.
I love Orchesis too. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I love Orchesis. Yeah. Go ahead.
She had us out there. Like I said, I had to go running. I had to go running every single day, and we had to have a certain kind of health, a diet. I was already a buck. That's all I weighed was a buck, and they had me running like a certain amount of miles a day, and I already was a runner, and then we had to eat, and then go and dance for hours and hours, and if we got it wrong, you had to repeat it, and you had to do it again, do it again, and it was a lot. And my dance teacher actually studied in Alvin Ailey, so yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, wow. So it was a lot.
It was a form, but I mean, honestly, I don't consider it a form because this. It's like training to me. It's conditioning, that part of it. The exercise part. Yeah. But now when you get in the cut and beating somebody's ass, that's just a totally different thing.
That's why I like running the bus.
Beating somebody up. It's
equal opportunity. No, it's equal opportunity. That's my thing.
Man, don't go there.
No. Because we all been here. You listen. If you've been a part of any organization, you've been hazed. Right. If you, for the most part, especially because it's just like you said, it's traditional.
You was on the step team in high school, and your step teacher was from a Greek organization.
You been too serious back then. My God.
Now that I think about it, I hazed my church dance team.
Now you better qualify. Hey, sis, I know we're going with the broadened definition of hazing, but I need you to qualify what you mean by hazing. Let me
tell you what I did.
Intense, rigorous.
I used to have them. If they did wrong, I would make them stand in line. I'll make them stand in line. And I'll make them go do a lap around the church, come back and come into that specific line, and then hurry up and disperse into their where they're supposed to be dancing at. And I'm like, get it together right now. If you do not get it on this 5 count, we're gonna go back and we're gonna do 2 more laps in this house. If we are not getting it right, we will not dance. I was 15 years old. Why was I doing that to people's kids? Why would I do that to people's kids?
Because you learned it from somewhere else.
I did.
We're going to be real.
You did.
I did.
Yeah, that's what's up. Hey, well, folks.
Yeah.
Go ahead, James.
Y'all remember Rebecca said yesterday that she was going out of town for her birthday? Well, unbelievably, there was new footage discovered of Rebecca and I out of town. Dwayne, can you play that footage, please?
Uh-oh. Wait, uh-oh.
Yes,
Rebecca and James?
I don't know what this looks like, but I want to see.
I'm a little nervous here.
This Trey came over, said he wanna start me, boy, and wood, so why you twerk some?
Y'all are so.
And this is the real aunties of Louisiana. What is this? I mean, LA.
What is this we're watching?
Listen, that's me for real.
James, you better not have a wig, bro. What is it, shenanigans?
Let me put your hands on your back, now bend your knees. Let me see. How you ride, let me put your hands on your back, now bend your knees. Put your hands on your back, hands on your back.
That's me and my little 2-piece.
Not right, that's me.
Jesus. What is wrong with you people?
No, I honestly can't. I got like I said, I told y'all all the time, like I got the smallest ass in the world, but I will twerk on everything and anything. I'm walking through the store and I'm looking at groceries, and then because I always play music in my ear, so depending on what I have here, and I start looking back at it, all the white people looking at me crazy, and I start twerking some more. Don't let me put my hand on the wall now, and I'm be like, hey, period.
Right.
That's me. That is me. Now I'm not the one that's on top of the table and jumping down and doing the split at brunch. I will give you some space between what your food is looking like, and then you will find me, and at least a little further away from your food throwing that ass, because that's just what I do. I love it. You ain't got no ass, but you throw it in a circle every day. That's me. So we gonna be on vacation. Throwing ass.
Look, when I saw that video when it came up, Real Aunties of LA, I'm like, ooh, this Rebecca right here. I'm like, ooh, this Rebecca.
Definitely. I will definitely agree. That is me. That is me all day, every day.
Yeah, I gotta catch her. If you've ever been so lucky, Rebecca, to see Rebecca at a patron party, she'll show you what she's talking about, because every patron party she actually comes to, she's always throwing something in a circle. That's all I gotta say.
That's it.
On a low
it's gonna be either my ponytail and that ass.
The ponytail be going in a circle. Everything be going in circles. So y'all come on out.
We're at the end of the show. I do have to get back to work. I got it. What you said? Background?
I said doing the Forrest Whitaker eye at the same time.
My God, today I quit. I'm not doing the show anymore. Who be having the Forrest Whitaker eye? Dwayne? What the?
Me?
Dwayne, can you show us?
I caught that early, like every now and then.
I do it all the time.
When Rebecca really get into something, I caught it earlier for the first time, but I've seen it 4 times today. That's get it going.
No, and then one is already bigger than the other. So when I really get into it, I really be like, I really be right here with it.
Yeah,
I'm going somewhere.
I don't need you focusing on my eyes. Get off my eyes.
Oh Lord.
But my eyes do that, and it's what I started realizing that not too long ago. And especially when I get real excited, you gonna get one small eye, and then the other one is bigger. Yeah.
I'm done. Listen, folks. I told y'all. We were not going to get back.
And also, y'all, we shout out my happy birthday to Mama Gwen. Her birthday is Sunday.
Oh my God! Yeah, she's a Taurus. I'm a Taurus. She's a Taurus. Shout out to Mama Gwen for sure. Yeah, she's a Taurus.
I can't remember. Taurus, I think so. Yeah.
Yes,
we're gonna say happy birthday.
That explains. Look, Rebecca, it explains a lot. Then that explains a lot. She's hard-headed as hell,
and she like to twerk. So,
Mama Gwen. If you've ever been to a party with Mama and Papa Gwen, they come out there and they be throwing it in a circle too. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Have a tendency to throw it in a circle.
There's no age limit on twerking these days. I say these days.
There's just ankle limits. I'm not gonna be able to do it with y'all tonight. Normally, I would like to try to twerk something every now and then, but my ankles are saying no. But tonight, I'm gonna sing. Rebecca, you coming? You gonna sing something?
I'm going to rehearsal. I told you I have a rehearsal for my third job. I'll be in rehearsal singing, because I'm going to be singing background for a Haitian band. Not
you going
to go.
The Pink coming back soon. That's what you heard.
Pink.
Pink coming back soon.
What is the Pink?
What?
Y'all don't never watch P-Valley.
Oh no, I don't watch P-Valley.
Rebecca,
man,
I'll start it though.
Yeah,
Dwayne.
What is P-Valley?
Remove both of them from the screen, Dwayne.
Yeah,
let me start.
Don't
Rebecca,
push me out the way. Yeah,
you gotta watch P-Valley. Like, you gotta watch P-Valley.
Okay, I'm gonna start P-Valley. Is it 3 seasons now? It's on 3 seasons.
Only one.
It's only one. Yeah.
Oh, so it'll be quick for me to watch. So thank God for Jesus.
That and then all the Queen men on BET Plus.
Okay, I have BET Plus.
I'm about to say I'll give you my login if you need it, because you really need to watch that.
I still like to collect logins like Infinity Stones. So definitely. Definitely.
Hey, bro.
I hate you.
She still got one of mine. She ain't lying. She still got one of mine.
I got one of Ben. I've been on Ben's for about 7 years now, I think.
I swear Netflix, all these people are doing these things because of me. Because I swear I got about 50 people on my Netflix account.
But you know what's crazy? No, Ben, you know what's crazy? I actually have my own Netflix now. However,
and you still use mine.
Yes, you're still logging on my computer, and I'm scared to log out of it because I don't know my own password. So on the laptop, it's been plugged in. I could literally clear the cache, and still keeps plugging into Ben's. And I'm like, okay, God, you're trying to tell me something. Stay on course. Stay focused. Stop trying to change.
Stop giving them your money.
Look, God, I hear you trying to tell me something. Stop trying to change things up. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Okay, God, I hear you. Not me trying to make a word out of that. Anywho. Listen,
so Rebecca, you got to get out of here.
I do.
Okay.
I'm actually 8 minutes late. I got to log right back in. Like I said, I was working early. Today, we are collecting money from everybody's accounts. Okay?
Oh.
So I am about to go do that.
Jesus
and now we're at
Christ.
the show. Y'all, Future just dropped his album. I listened to it this morning. I was twerking while I was putting my ponytail in.
Okay.
It's very toxic, but it sounds like old Future. It sounds like old Future. So go check it out. Work out to it. Have a good time, y'all. Love you, mean it. I'll see you guys on Monday.
See y'all on Monday. Yeah. I told y'all we weren't going to talk about Viola Davis.
Funny. Man, David don't get no respect. No respect. All right, y'all. Love y'all. Mean it. Don't forget tonight is going down. Patron party going down tonight. Karaoke edition. We will be singing our asses off, literally. So come with your drink, your smoke, whatever it is you need to make you sing like you can or can't, whatever it is. We'll see y'all this evening, man. And your affirmation for this Friday is: today is a sacred gift from life. Today is a sacred gift from life. I like that one. That's a good one. Love y'all, mean it. We will see y'all Tuesday if we don't see y'all tonight. Bring y'all ass. Karaoke's going down. Let's sing. Let's get it. Deuces. Love y'all.